We've always had room in our hearts for film and TV, not just on Netflix, but tape and disc in theaters. Also, God forbid that they take it all away and leave us nothing to broadcast to loyal listeners. We'll binge watch every single movie, so you don't have to. What else are we here for? Coming to you every week. Listen to us while you're busy. Luckily, we forgot to grow up. Hey everybody, it's Craig.
Hey, it's Scott.
Hey, it's Andrew.
Welcome to episode number 35 of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast, the podcast where we talk about movies that most of us aren't interested in. On this week's episode of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast, we're going to talk about movies I'm not interested in. The Oceans trilogy, soon to be 4.
What? Dude, those are some of the best movies ever made.
Let me get that right out of the way.
Wow.
Yep. No interest whatsoever.
I like how he classifies himself as the majority, too. There's two other of us who love them.
I hold the hosting duties, Scott.
Man, we might as well call this episode Oceans That I'm Gonna Dump Craig's Body In.
That's fair. Who's going to edit your podcast then? Huh? Come on.
Scott and I can figure it out, maybe, probably, maybe.
Welcome to the last episode of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast. And if anyone in law enforcement is listening to this, it's the Atlantic.
Or the Pacific.
It's probably the Atlantic. It's
probably
way closer.
Probably the Indian.
That's really far.
You don't know me. You don't know where I dump things.
That's true. I know you won't take that much time off of work.
That's true.
You are a small business owner.
That's
exactly.
True. I have a week off in September. Okay.
You won't need to go on your previously planned trip because I'll be dead.
I just got to keep you on chill, and I got to make up excuses while I talk to your family every week. It's cool. I could do that.
I think we're so off track.
I think at least 3/4 of your parents like me. Okay.
3/4 of our collective parents. I hope you.
No, your parents.
My parents.
Yeah.
I've only got 2 parents.
I know.
Yeah, he's only got like 75 from both of them.
That's it. Scott picked up on the math. Like, they like me most of the time. I'm not a terrible influence, but I'm not a good influence. There's something in between.
Something in between is probably the best way to put it.
There's a reason that every time I've been to your house over the last couple of years, aka 2 times, I've had my sleeves rolled down.
And for audio listeners, that's because he's got tattoos up.
That's because I've got tattoos.
Yeah, he's less tattoos if you're my family and you're listening to this.
Yes.
Less tattoos than you're picturing.
Absolutely. I am not covered. I do not have neck and face. Yep. Except for the one I have on my neck and the one I have on my face.
But those are covered by makeup most of the time.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about the Oceans trilogy
eventually
in preparation for Oceans 8, which is my draft pick that I'm not going to support. And, all of you should, but I'm not going to.
You gotta support Craig. It's not like
I find it insufferable. I've seen Solo like 6 times now, so you know.
You were literally the only one in all of the world who saw it last week.
That's not true. I saw it last weekend. I've seen it twice.
Did you say saw it twice?
Probably.
Okay.
It's recorded. You'll get to listen to it later.
We'll roll back. Yeah. I'll listen. I'll hear it later. That's
I'm
fine.
Still rattled by the fact that you said you don't like these movies, man.
So
what is it you don't like about it?
Well, we're gonna get there. We're gonna talk about what we watched this week too, which is gonna include that. Okay. So I guess I'll start.
Yeah, you start off, Craig. Tell us what you don't like about these. I wasn't aware you didn't like them.
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
I believe I actually mentioned it last week. I had never seen any of them.
I remember you saying that, yes.
Yeah, so I watched Ocean's 11 this weekend, and I just don't get the appeal necessarily.
What?
I wouldn't say that they're bad movies, and I like the actors that are in them, but
that's the best part, the dynamics.
Just the story just made me go, what? I mean, like, I just don't get the appeal.
Well, then you really wouldn't like the original Ocean's 11 from 1960.
I really feel like
that one is
the same concept.
Being an outlaw. That's what I feel like this says. This Craig just never.
I don't really mind heist movies either, but I just didn't get the I don't know. There was the whole thing about it that made me go, don't care.
Huh.
Yeah.
Man.
That's intriguing, because I was making a video earlier today about this, and I'm like, I can't think of
Wow.
something that people wouldn't like about this. And now, Craig, you're coming back at me with this stuff.
I
But
don't
you're also telling
care
me
about
you don't
the characters.
know. Okay, you don't care about the characters. Okay, I could see.
And I
Why
don't
you
care
wouldn't.
about I don't care about their motives
To get rich?
or the storyline. I like the
The-
actors, like I said.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, so I think like I could kind of see where he's coming from, because they don't really build the characters up a lot, because there's so many of them.
I have zero sympathy for anyone.
They're not supposed to.
Number one.
They're criminals.
They're criminals.
They're not supposed to have that
'Cause
much
they got
sympathy
their
for them.
freaking
Who know
point
if they
across.
get busted, they get busted. That's it.
Yeah.
They're just super confident about it.
So yeah, so I had zero sympathy or any sort of connection with any of the characters.
This is basically a whole gang of people who are held together by the fact that they're all like Doug Judy.
But I like Doug Judy
So why can't you like these guys?
because Doug Judy at least has a thing about him.
Well, they
He
each
plays
have their
off
own
that
thing.
Yeah.
He plays off. That
You got a
sympathy
British
thing
version
where
of
he's
Don
like,
Cheadle, man. What more could you ask
I
for?
always forget that he was British. Like he does
Yeah.
the British thing in these movies. I always forget
Yeah.
about that.
And I don't even know why.
There's zero reason.
There's no
No
reason
reason.
for him to be British other than to make a couple of super like far out there British references that only people who understand what it's about is about. And then they make the joke because Linus is like, what are you talking
What are you
about?
saying? But I could kind of see where Craig maybe comes from. I feel like this movie does rely a little bit on the fact that the celebrities are what make you kind of care for the characters a little bit, if that makes sense. Like it almost.
That's it. The dynamics, like
Yeah,
it's-
well, that's my
I
favorite
look
part.
at
Yeah,
them.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, so Craig's saying how he doesn't care about the cast or the characters at all, and I feel like I was thinking back on it. I'm like, that's one of the things I enjoy most is like their dynamic between the
Yeah.
cast and the characters that the cast played, and I feel like maybe I don't know if like we had some kind of like I don't know if there's some kind of like unconscious bias we have because we like those actors already, and we kind of
Possibly.
maybe are like building them more of a story than they already had, and maybe Craig is the one that's kind of like
Maybe.
seeing on the outside of that.
Maybe,
Or maybe
it's
Craig
because
has
in
no
the
soul and doesn't like him.
I like the actors. That's not
So-
even the problem.
Yeah,
But
I know,
if
just
the real reason to be if the real reason to be appealed to the movie is because of the dynamic between the characters,
Well,
then
that's one
I
of them.
propose we take the cast and make a movie about watching paint dry because I think it would be just about as interesting.
I think the reason that I like them so much is because I've seen all three of them like 1,400 times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
like,
could see that.
So I'm in there.
I went looking for Ocean's 12. It's not on Netflix.
Yeah, we discovered
I
this on
was
weekend.
going to give it a chance. That was the plan. I watched Ocean's 11, went I was like, okay, I'll give 12 a chance, and if 12 is okay, then I'll watch 13. But it's not on there, so I'm
Yeah,
writing off the entire trilogy because 11 could not stand on its own.
Well,
In your opinion.
Ocean's
In my-
12
in my
is
opinion,
almost the critically acclaimed flop of the trilogy.
That's what I was thinking too.
So
I'm
it's a
like,
good
And
thing I
that's
didn't
just
watch
because
it
that's just because
because at
people
least I
can't keep
liked
up
it
with
enough.
Well, okay, for our listeners who haven't seen the movie, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown right now. What happens is Danny Ocean, played by George Clooney, gets out
Who
of
I
jail.
didn't recognize initially.
Gets out of jail after being in there for I don't know a couple years for whatever it is for pulling a heist.
Yeah.
His wife, aka Julia Roberts, has left him, moved on, whatever. So he's like, let's get back into the life of it. Why not? Boom. So they hit you with that right off the bat. He wants to pull off one of the biggest heists ever, which is robbing a Las Vegas casino because it's never been done before. And at this point, like you kind of successfully. At this point, you kind of get the feeling like, oh, he's just worried about his legacy. You know, why not? So he puts together this band of merry thieves, aka Robin Hood style. So he makes this group full of people who have their own little specialties. You got the tech guy, you got the explosives guy, you got the getaway drivers who aren't really getaway
they
drivers.
don't drive anything.
You got the trickster who can literally morph himself into whoever he needs to be to distract everyone, and he's so good at it.
Yeah.
You got his sidekick, who's Brad Pitt, the mastermind of all of it, who as well as Danny, and they feed off each other. They're like in each other's heads. Most of their like individual correspondence goes like this. Well, that means yep. Well, then we have to yep, because they just know, and I like that personally.
That's actually straight pulled from the movie.
Yeah, that's
I know exactly what scene you're talking about.
That's from Ocean's 12. He's missing his cell phone. He's like, so she has yep. Well, that means yep. Well, you better yep. And that's it. And it's a great scene.
Yeah.
But so they're like best buds. You know, they go together like crumpets and jam, like peanut butter and pickle, like forgot to grow and up.
Forgot to grow up and doing something while you're busy.
There we go. Listening to us while you're busy.
Exactly.
And then they bring in, I almost feel like he's the apprentice of the group. Like they look at it as, okay, well, we're the last of the real great, you know, pickpockets and whatnot. We need to bring in a guy to continue it on. So they bring in Matt Damon, who you find out throughout the series, like, you know, his parents are you know, the best robbers in history type thing. They're legends, but then you also find out other stuff about them later on, and you get to meet his parents.
Yeah.
But he really grows throughout the series. So there is that little, you know, there is growth, and you see them grow as a family. And then you got one of the best members as well, Bernie Mac.
The late great.
The late great Bernie Mac, who is phenomenal in these movies.
Yeah, I love him in these.
He's so over the top. Yes, sir. Like his handshake scene
in
Ocean's 11
scene, yeah.
when he's trying to convince him to like drop down the vans by, I think they only save like $5,000 total.
Not
like
that much.
The amount of money they're about to make, who cares? But he's like just breaking his hand.
Yeah. And I think that shows, like, that was one of those moments I think that helps build the characters a little bit. You kind of learn that he's like, yeah, he's kind of all nice on the outside, but he'll crush a guy's hand at the same
he'll
time.
Shatter that shit.
Yeah.
And they all live by the code of, like, you know, the master thieving code, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
Like, but at the same time, you do get the feeling that they're like, well, if shit goes south, we'll turn on each other, but shit's not going to go south, so we don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of rely on each other, and that comes kind of the fact that they all have a history, which you kind of is slightly implied in
that they've done jobs together before, but they've never done a job together.
Yeah, as a unit, as a full like 11-team unit, and so
like when Rusty picks up Don Cheadle's character. Mm-hmm. Like, he's dressed up as a cop and swoops in and takes him away, no questions asked. And then Don's just like, oh, it's going to be so nice to work with an actual gang of criminals.
Proper villains is the word.
Proper villains.
Proper villains. I always love
gang of proper villains.
A gang of proper villains. Except he was more Cockney with it. I can't really do a great
Cockney
accent.
But, oh, it's so good.
Yeah. I'm still still struggling with Craig not liking it a little bit.
I also like Andy Garcia in it. Like, he's always been a badass to me.
Yeah, he does a great job.
And bringing him in this role, like, I really, granted, I was a kid when I watched it.
Yeah, first came out
for the first time, but like I just loved watching like the way he carries himself through it. That you can try to touch me, but I'm gonna break all your fingers, and then try to saw your neck off, but I'm gonna leave the saw in there and pour water on it so it goes rusty and gives you lockjaw. Maybe not that intense,
that
but
was really intense and graphic
he'd probably just ruin your life, because they say he will. Rusty even makes the thing, or he's talking to Linus about it, Matt Damon.
Yeah,
they're talking, and he's like, "Did you hear about the he crushed his brother-in-law, like someone tried to rob him." So he's like, yeah, and he destroyed his brother-in-law's tractor company. And then Rusty's like, yeah, I heard about the brother-in-law. like it's no big deal. They just don't care. Well, they're just so cocky. I love it.
I feel like that's like just the essence of Brad Pitt's character in this. Rusty is just kind of profound, like, confidence and arrogance in what he does.
I think he's just flying by the seat of his pants.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. You can kind of tell. You learn that a little bit in the second one, a little bit more.
Like right at the beginning, where he's got the hotel.
Yeah.
And he's got friggin' what's his name? Topher Grace in there.
Yeah.
From like, he's got him like just wrecking his hotel, and he's like, oh, come on, man. And then he gets the phone call from what is it? I'll call him Benedict, but that's not it.
I think it is Benedict.
Is it Benedict?
Oh, I wrote
Something. Benedict's the last name, right?
Yeah.
Terry.
Yeah, Terry
Benedict.
Yeah.
It was Benedict. And he gets a phone call from him, and he goes to fly down the stairs, and he's like talking shit.
Yeah.
And then Andy Garcia's like, well, I'm going to blow up one of your 17 cars or whatever. And he blows up one of them. He's like, oh, okay. And then they all meet up to talk about how much they owe him and what the interest is. And he's like, yeah, well, I owe $25 million because the hotel business is a bitch.
Yeah, I love that.
And I was like, yep. And he's got the face like, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? This economy, though.
And then, but I think that part of the movie for Ocean's 12, though, with Linus is my favorite, where he's like, I've spent about a million, so I owe this, but then the interest is like, shit, that interest really kills you. I was like, yeah, man, that's how interest works.
Yeah. I really just like that as the premise for the second one, too, that they kind of have to, like, go do another job because they all spent too much from their last job, and the guy who they stole from for the last job has come back.
Just
so it's
a
like,
dick, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And I like that they throw in like the thief versus thief element into the second one.
Well, a lot of people who I've talked to and I've read online, they don't like the 12th, and I think it's just because it's so many redirects you can't keep up. But that's what I like about it, because at the end when they piece at the end when they piece it all together, you're like, holy shit.
That was all there.
That actually makes so much sense. They're the master thieves. They're the best.
Yeah, they think out
Just
everything beforehand. Like
in the first one, when they when you find out that they actually filmed it in the in the fake vault.
Yeah.
At the beginning, they straight up almost tell you.
Yeah, because George Clooney's
this is why we're doing
like,
it.
he's like, they're like, is this for practice? He's just like, something like that. Is the
Yeah.
exact line
they
he says.
flat out tell you. Yeah,
and it's like
they flat out tell you what's going to happen, and you just don't pick up on it. And then later you're like, holy shit, they robbed it in front of everyone. What?
Yeah, exactly.
That was about the only part of the movie I actually enjoyed.
Oh, it was so good.
But
so good.
I just want to clarify before you guys continue on into your love fest of the second and third films. I don't hate it.
That's fair. You just didn't.
I just didn't get the appeal.
That's fair.
I would say I'm pretty much middle of the road on it. It was a movie.
It was just a movie, as the Weekly Planet would say.
Yeah, it was just a movie.
Yeah, but this was just 3 great movies.
They could have made 3 movies about watching paint dry. 11 people, 12 people, and 13 people.
See, here's my question about Ocean's 12, though. I'm going to direct this one to you, Scott, because Craig, you haven't seen it. Who's the 12th member to you?
It's Julia Roberts.
Are you sure it's Julia Roberts? What about the other guy?
It's real Julia Roberts, though, not Julia Roberts' character. It's real Julia Roberts.
Real Julia Roberts.
They pretend to be her, so she's the actual
she does,
13th.
but then they're like, yeah, but she doesn't even really look like her. And you're like, come on, man.
I like those kind of
is
jokes.
Her.
Yeah. Which is great. So, I would say it's definitely not. But I would say it's either Julia Roberts or
it's the tech guy. I always kind of felt like it was the tech
Eddie
guy.
Griffin? Not Eddie Griffin.
Not Eddie. Nope, not Eddie Griffin at all.
No, what's his name? It's Eddie Lizard.
12?
Is it Eddie
Eddie
Lizard?
Izzard?
Izzard.
I think so.
Yeah, I just got the last
Ocean's
name mixed
12?
up. I know who Eddie Griffin is now that I said it. I was just like, I got the Eddies mixed up. It's because Eddie's a weird name. Yeah,
Eddie Griffin.
Eddie Izzard.
No.
Eddie Murphy. It must have been Eddie Murphy.
No, if it was those two, it'd be a lot worse of a mix-up if I said that. But no, this is just, I got the last names mixed up because I'm slightly dyslexic.
Yes, it's Eddie Izzard.
Yeah, so we could maybe classify his character, but I see it as Julia Roberts just because she's a little bit more integral. But you could also argue a lot of things with, like, the first one, the fact that they get help from...
Did you say integral? Is that a word?
Like integral part? No?
I think you're talking integral.
Integral.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Sorry about that little timbit.
That was just Scott throwing in his timbit.
Yeah.
So
I make up my own language. It's not like the whole human race didn't do that to start.
The rest of us use words in dictionaries.
My words are in someone's dictionary.
That's true.
Your phone's
again.
You're like Drax right now.
What the whole world has done for a bunch of years, and I'm just trying to be my own self, guys. And you guys are hating on it, and it hurts. It really does hurt, guys.
You're like Drax right now. That's a made-up word. All language is made up.
It is though.
He's
All language
not-
is
he's not
made
wrong.
up, okay?
Thor, you killed it, you genius.
Just because you decided that the word I said didn't sound enough like the one you wanted it to be doesn't mean that the intent wasn't there.
The worst part is I knew what you meant, but I was like, is that a word?
Integral?
Yeah. It sounds legit, but is it? Anyways,
I forget
A
what
non-word.
the point was.
A neologism that people sometimes mistake when they mean integral. It's a language blunder. Today
See,
we
I-
learned.
Wait, is that a common
What does the Urban Dictionary say about integral? A word that doesn't exist, usually used by dumbasses who really mean to use the word integral.
That sounds about right then. Yeah, no.
part of me feels like that's just Craig being a dick.
Well, that sounds slightly like just people are upset that I'm mispronouncing a word. Like, like I'm sorry I didn't pronounce it the way you wanted it. It's if it was written down, I would read it as what I said as opposed to what it's supposed to be. Anyways,
Makes sense.
Anyways,
why are we getting into a grammar talk when we're supposed to be talking about
I don't
oceans?
know. I don't know. Anyways, I always just felt like he was the extra, just because I always kind of tied in like George Clooney and Julia Roberts being like one
Yeah,
together. You know, they're the couple.
you could also
it.
be like, well, maybe it's Linus's. Is it mom in the second one, or is she in the third one, and his dad's in the second one?
Or it could be both of them because Elliot Gould doesn't really do anything in this movie. Because he's like, I can pay it, so...
That's who that is. That was
Yes.
bothering me.
But, like, that's... Like, that could make sense, because he doesn't do anything. They meet, he says, I got money,
Yeah.
whatever. The stock market's not that hard to play, guys. And then just goes home, and then at the end he says, listen, here's the check that, what's his face, the pewter fox, or whatever the fuck he goes by.
No, I think it's I wrote this down. Night Fox.
Night Fox, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
But yeah, no, I think we can't really decide on who the 12th or the 13th even is in the last one. 'Cause is it Benedict in the last one then? In Ocean's 13?
Maybe. But then the argument could be made that Linus's parents
That's what I'm
could
saying.
be
Yeah,
involved too.
there's so many like secondary
Where do you get your
characters.
math from? But I what?
Yeah, that's a fair point. But before
But
we
I-
hop to
I-
Ocean's 13, we should probably finish up on Ocean's 12 or
Well, I was just gonna say I like, again, it's that meeting when they all get together
yeah.
when they're discussing how much they owe. I like that they come together and they fuck. You know what I just realized? Elliot Gould isn't really in the Ocean's 13 either. He's in bed the whole goddamn time. He's not part of that friggin' heist at all
well, 'cause
either.
He's like, yeah, that's true.
So he steps back, and then other people come in.
That's a fair point. Yeah. So this is maybe where it works. So maybe
There we go.
So yeah,
He's-
he doesn't count in Ocean's 12 because he didn't help, and so
Yeah, 'cause they got the
it's
other two
both
in.
Tech and Julia Roberts.
Yeah. So then you get to Ocean's 13. You don't have Julia Roberts anymore. You've got Eddie Izzard in there.
Yeah.
So now you're at Ocean's 11 again. You bring in
Benedict comes in because it's his
Benedict,
idea,
so
and
there's
he does
12.
couple things,
yeah,
and then the parents.
and then the dad. So there
Yeah.
we go.
So we kind of worked it out.
I guess so.
We figured
But
out
anyways,
the math.
back to when they're all together talking about
Yeah.
what's going down, and Bernie Mac's like, also, Benedict called us Ocean's 11. I don't like that. I'm a private contractor.
Yeah, no, I both like that they name drop the Ocean's 11, but I also love
Yeah.
that they call out like, wait, when did we decide that was the name?
Yeah.
Who decided that? I didn't vote on that. I'm independent contractor here.
Well, it's
I
just
didn't,
like
I didn't sign up for
I-
no union.
I can't remember if it's Ocean's 12 or Ocean's 13, but when they're talking, Linus is like, well, when you guys have a problem, who do you go to? And they're all like, Rusty.
Yeah.
And Danny's like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my crew, but whatever.
It's so true, but that's how a crew normally works, though. Like on like a ship, you don't go to the captain, you go to the co-captain. which Rusty's kind of the
That's true.
co-captain, right? Because you don't want to go
true.
tell the boss, because then you don't want to mess with the boss man. You go talk to the second in command, so that the second in command has to talk to boss man about it.
That's true. That's true.
Get a little interference. So. But no, I still like that dynamic though, because it would be easier to talk to Brad Pitt. He seems just so talkable.
That's true. With his buzz cut and his tattoos and his yep.
Always slurping on a drink or eating something.
Eating shrimp.
Yeah. I have a theory about like actors who are like known for doing like eating or doing stuff. I'm just like, I think it's because they don't know what else to do with their hands, and they learn that to be a good actor, you have to know what to do with your hands. So they're like, I'm gonna put food in my hand. Now I have something to do with my hand, as opposed to I'm sitting here trying to figure
otherwise
out,
you're just standing there.
just like trying to do something with your hands. Because I find myself when I do videos, I talk with my hands because otherwise my hands wouldn't be doing anything. And I feel like
you see how often I change position?
Yeah, exactly. So I think
I'm all over the place.
if we pulled the Brad Pitt, which is eating some chips while we were talking, but that'd be bad audio quality, which I won't do that. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I've always had that kind of theory that like certain actors
Wilson
are known
soda
for those
biscuits.
things. Yeah, that's the thing. They're just using it as like a tool because they're like, yeah, now I got something to do with these hands.
Man, that makes sense.
Yeah. A little thing, but maybe that's actually just taught in acting school, and it's not a secret that I figured out because they're just because that seemed logical thing to be taught too. Anyways, back to Oceans. Are we still on Oceans 12? I don't know.
I do believe.
Okay. Well, I got some notes. I already said the plot, the thief versus thief plot line. I like that they go up against the Night Fox guy, like this younger. Hotshot thief guy versus
I like the reason behind it too. It's just because he's a jealous little priss.
Yeah, and
he's like my mentor, Lamarck. He said that you were the best, and I was like, whoa, no one's better than me. And he's like, I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, and so he has this whole thing is brought up because his ego is a little hurt, and he wants to prove that he's better than these guys. And I like that the whole movie you're kind of like. It's almost looking like he won, right? Like all the way up to that last minute again, like same with that first one.
That friggin' 2-minute dance he does to dance through the fucking lasers.
I thought that was cool. I like that.
The whole thing. Cool. I was like, holy shit!
It was a good.
Even
music.
if they added the lasers in after, it still looks so boss.
Oh yeah, they 100% added the lasers in post.
Like with my luck, a drop of sweat would fall off, hit that laser, the alarms go off. There's a crossbow sitting at the end. It shoots me like Last Crusade style. I'm dead.
That's what just say Indiana Jones style.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a great scene from him. I liked his character in general. I thought he did a good job of playing that rich air. What is he like? I think they refer to him as like an industrialist or something. Like he's some kind of
I think he's like French, not royalty, but something like that too.
Okay, so aristocracy or something.
Like a duke or something.
Yeah,
like
okay.
that.
So he's got some family money, is what they imply. So the fact that he does the thieving as a thrill, I like that as a component to his backstory because it makes it a little more believable. That this guy obviously just does everything to soothe his ego. So obviously he would do this whole build up of the second movie to just try and prove that he's the best thief in the world, right? According to his his mentor. And I just really like that element to the second one, adding a little bit more of a direct villain in a sense. Because in the first one, Benedict is the villain, but he doesn't he doesn't know that they're trying to rob him at the till the very end, right? The whole movie, he doesn't.
He's just trying to be
He's just trying to cockblock Danny the whole time, which is understandable, on his part. And
it's Julia Roberts. Would you let anyone touch Julia Roberts if you were with her?
She's not really my type, to be honest. But that's something totally different. But she's too tall, to be honest. She's slightly intimidating. I'm a tall guy, and she's almost my height, I think, and that's slightly intimidating for me.
Googling,
but that could just be a movie thing. I only she's maybe always wearing heels.
Like how Sylvester Stallone looks tall all the time, and he's only 5'8".
Yeah, exactly. So maybe she isn't, but that's just one of those things, Just, anyways, that's not really the point. Neither here nor there.
There we go. Julia Roberts' height. 1.75 meters. I don't want meters. What the hell is that? 5'8"?
No, that's 5'10", I think.
Is it? In inches. Okay.
How many inches? It just gave you straight inches. It didn't,
Yeah.
That's what you should have said it.
68.9 inches. Okay, she's 5'9", so it split us down the middle.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right for the two of us. Yeah, so she's on the taller end of a lady, and if she's got 3-inch heels on, she's my height.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
That's intimidating for me. Looking a woman in the eye when I'm a 6'1" man, right? But I've also never looked her in the eye because I've never had the pleasure to meet her, and this be a whole different conversation probably if I do ever have the chance to meet her. But that's totally near not here, nor there, nor anywhere really.
This here, not near, but places with the things.
Something. Ocean's 13, because I had no more notes for Ocean's 12.
Well, I like that by this one. For Linus's character, they're more willing to give him the reins.
Yeah.
You know, they're letting him plan things. They're letting him figure out stuff. They're letting him get shit going in that direction.
They trust him a little more.
I like, because from the first one, you see that they do just treat him as a kid.
Yeah, he's
The
the
second-
assistant,
the
he's the apprentice guy. Like they get him as the extra body for the extra stuff, right? Like they have him
Well,
just
they
trailing the guy.
they straight up say that.
Yeah.
Like in the first one, they're like, "Do we need another one?" And they're like, "Yeah, okay, well, we'll get another one." So they get him, and then by the second one, when they bring him into the talks with the guy who plays Rubius Hagrid at the bar in Amsterdam.
I forgot about that scene.
When they bring him in and they have the super awkward conversation where they're like, "My mother likes toads in soup," and then they pretend like he just said that his daughter fucks rocket ships or something. It was something about his niece, I think. Says his niece is a slut, but his niece is actually a very good girl who's like 8 years old or something.
Oh, wow.
And they're just fucking with them the whole time. Like, I like that step where they're like, you know what, we're gonna bring you in, but don't let it go to your kid.
You're not
don't get
quite
cocky.
there. Yeah, they did a good job of building up his character through like the trilogy of like, okay, he started off as the apprentice, but then he moved into like kind of not an apprentice anymore, but he's also not quite he's not one of the masters yet. And then the third one, you get to see he's on his way to becoming one of the one of the teachers, right? Like one of
he's calling shots, he's making decisions, he's one of the top brass.
Yeah. But then his parents still have to save him.
Yeah, and then they treat him like shit.
Yeah,
like in Ocean's 12 when his mom's like, he's like, did you tell Dad? Which I liked those parts that were added in, or in the second one, and he's like, call your mother sometimes.
Yeah,
just call your mother. She misses you. She worries.
Yeah, I love that too. Like I like that little spray, and I'm like, because you didn't really need those scenes added in at all, but I thought it because you could have had it just as like, oh, somebody else that Danny knew, but I like that little bit more of a connection that it's like you don't know until that second that he's like, thanks Dad, or like, thanks Mom. It's
thanks,
like
Mom. And especially since they set it up like his parents are two like master thieves in the first one.
Yeah.
To find out later on that they're actually like government agents.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
who are like on the take or whatever, and you never really find out what they are.
You don't get a backstory on them at all.
For all we know, they're actually not agents. They're just like really good impersonators. They're like
possible.
Saul.
It's very possible, like that they just have really good connections and they can pretend. But I like that they just drop that in, and you don't get to ask questions about it. You just kind of have to accept it and move on. And I kind of like that about these movies, that it's kind of just like you're just kind of going along for the ride with them, right? Because you're just like stuff's happening and you're just like, okay, there it goes. All right, and I could see maybe why that wouldn't appeal as much to certain people, because it can be, like I said, it is just like a ride. So it's like, oh, what's the point of certain things? But it's like at the end we get to find out all the point, like what it all adds up to at the end of the movie, which is what I really like about all three of these movies in particular. Like the third one especially has a good job of like, I like that they switched it up, that it's not just a normal robbery.
Heist.
Yeah, normal heist.
It's not it's not. I forget what they call it. It's a reverse something, where it doesn't matter if they win as long as the house loses.
Exactly, right? So
and I like that honor among thieves.
Yeah, which
like
is really
approach.
cool. Yeah, like I like the motivation behind the whole third movie, like everything, like the fact that this guy like stonewalled, I don't know what the exact term for it was, but like screwed over what's his name's character, Saul, Was he Saul? No, he wasn't Saul. Saul was the guy that did the different.
The old guy, the impersonating. Who are you thinking of?
The guy in the third one who's in the hospital or in bed the whole time. Ruben?
Oh yeah. Ruben, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Ruben Tishkov.
Yeah, like I like that the motivation is that he had gotten screwed over by this guy, and that's
so he got super depressed and
and so that the whole reason they're doing this is just to get back at him, and then at the at the end of the movie, we get his comeback.
Even when Danny goes to him like to be polite and be like, listen, I want you to make it whole, and he's like, oh, so whatever, no thanks. Like, only Al Pacino could pull off that role.
Yeah, he did a great job playing the dick villain in this one. Which is really good of way of like having a character you feel zero sympathy for, because otherwise
none.
Like if it was a nicer actor, or not nicer actor.
If it was Thanos, oh man.
If it was Josh Brolin, I would have been too charmed by his ass, and I just would have been like,
don't do it.
Yeah.
Just talk to him; he'll understand. He's been through some things.
Just get all along, like he's just trying to get his casino open. But yeah, I think the fact that Pacino and the way he played such a mean kind of ruthless guy that it did a really great job of being like, okay, we don't feel bad he's losing all his money.
Yeah. And he gets kicked out of his own hotel.
Yeah. He loses the diamond thing, which I thought was really cool, like secondary part
Cinco
to it.
Diamantes.
I wouldn't have thought of that. Like, oh yeah, I guess that is a big deal to casino and like hotel owners, is to have those kind of awards. And I would have never thought of that as a way to screw over like a rush or like a place, right? So the casino.
Oh yeah.
And so like I really like that element added into it, and just I really think these movies are very like well thought out and pretty like.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And it's like I really like the way it all comes together in the end of like as this like just like master of them getting all the stuff put together, the combination of them having to like insert guys into this Mexican factory so that they could like mess
to make
with
the dyes.
Yeah, to mess with the weight for the dyes or add something to it. Just like this whole thing,
the magnetic polymer or whatever the hell it was.
Okay, yeah. So and so like I really like that they have all these different elements, and it feels so big. Like this one, I feel like they did the best job of getting like the team to do different things, because the first two feels like a lot of the team, like they paired up some of them and weren't all doing something. They're kind of just there. Whereas this one, I felt like they had real jobs to go do, right? Like two of them were in Mexico for a certain part of the movie. And
well, they were very dedicated in this one.
Yeah.
Like the other ones, it was kind of, if we get busted, we get busted. Whatever. It's not the end of the world.
It was win or lose,
thing.
Or this one is kind of just like, no, we kind of
we have to.
Yeah.
We have to buckle in.
Yeah, exactly. This has to get done. Yeah, which is why I really like the third one. Like I don't know, I can't remember exactly what like audiences felt about it, but like I like the third one, not as much as the first one, obviously, but it's probably my second favorite. Like I like it a little bit more than the second because I like just that the motivation behind the whole thing. It just feels more like kind of real to me, because it's like, these thieves definitely have a certain code, and you kind of learn that through the first two movies that they're
he shook
honorable.
Sinatra's hand, man.
Exactly.
He should have known better.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that.
That's
that kind of history to it, that implied history to it.
And I like that they've got names for all the different like shit they pull, and I feel like they're just pulling stuff out of their ass. Where they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do a double flapjack cappuccino with maraschino cherries." You're like, "Okay, what?"
Yeah, I'm curious if that's like some kind of legit like criminal slang, or if they just straight made stuff up that they're like, "Yeah, this sounds like it could be something criminals would make up." Like, I could see it going either way, but I'm curious to find out for real. I'm gonna have to look up. Is there a book called
maybe
Criminal Thieves or Master Thieves?
Criminal Thieves.
No, well, I was trying like the Criminal's Guide to Thieving or stuff, or
maybe
I don't know. Criminal slang. That's what I was working for. The word I was looking for originally. Criminal slang.
There we go. I think it's just called. I can't remember what it was. That thing that Craig was just on looking up the definition.
Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary. That's what it was. Yeah.
Probably. But what else did I have right? Oh, I like that in this last one they have a couple Oprah scenes.
Yeah, where there's the first one where they're just sitting there. They lost everything and now they have it back, and they're both just standing there crying.
Yeah, well, at first, Brad Pitt's character walks in and he's like, "Are you watching Oprah?" And then what's George Clooney's character is like, "No," he's trying to deny it.
It
at
was
first.
just odd. And then he just gives up.
He's like, it's not just about the kids. It's and then they just both watch it and just like, it's just funny. I like that little character moment. Again, I could see why Craig might classify that in the watching two people watch paint dry, because that's what we were watching.
I would have watched 11 people watch paint dry.
Yeah, well, this was just 2 of the 11 watching Oprah, and we were watching them watch Oprah for. It's only like a 30-second to a minute scene, but
it's such a funny scene.
Exactly, and I think like it helps build the characters a little bit more. I think, and so that's
they're just people who happen to be really good at what they do.
Yeah, but they're still
just
watch
regular
Oprah.
guys.
They still watch Oprah. They still got a heart. They're still sweet guys. But then the second one with at the end that they've got Benedict appearing on Oprah because
because they donated all the money they were supposed to pay him back to charity.
Exactly. I was like, oh, I like that. Good job, guys.
Well, I like that he says something. He's like, "This wasn't this? What are you laughing about? This isn't the deal or whatever."
Yeah.
And then Danny's like, "Well, sure shit ain't sad."
Yeah.
And slams the door behind him when he's leaving. And I was like, "Man, Danny, you're my hero."
Yeah, you are. You're just a baller.
You're the man.
Like I like that they got to that point too. That they're just like they're not scared of him anymore. They're just like, no, man, no, just it's not gonna happen anymore. Like we've known each other way too long now. We've been through too many movies. Yeah, you do shit.
I just thought of another thing though. Yeah. In all 3 of the movies, they have that big bald guy with the goatee.
Oh yeah.
In the first one, he fake beats up Danny. They don't really introduce him or do anything except for talk about that and how his girlfriend's pregnant again.
Yep.
Okay. In the second one, I forget what he does, but he's involved as well.
I think he's like a driver at some point, like a fake valet or something.
Something. He does something in it.
Yeah.
I can't remember. That's gonna drive me crazy. But then the third one, he's just like there collecting money. like he's just a repeat character for no reason other than like, oh, he's in it again.
Yeah, exactly. Which I like that. It's just a little like, well, why not? Why not bring him back?
Why not?
Like it's possible that he's like a director's brother or something that we were just
maybe
like a Sean Gunn situation or is it Sean Gunn? Is that James Gunn's brother?
Maybe. I don't know.
Not the point. Not the movie.
No.
I had a question for you. Do you think the Ocean's 13 is the one that they used the most disguises in? So I think it is.
I'd say so.
Because you got the lioness nose. You got old.
Yeah, you've got that. Saul does his thing.
Yeah, Saul always does his thing, right?
You've got
Brad Pitt's character dresses up as the scientist.
That's true.
Yeah, I saw that. That was one of the clips I saw.
Well, plus Danny and Rusty dress up as like 70s porn star type guys to go in and watch the guy try to rig the roulette table or the craps table or whatever.
Exactly.
So now we're at 5. You've got Livingston who goes undercover.
Yeah.
Or like goes under. I feel like there's some. Oh, you get one of the brothers who becomes one of the bellboys or
exactly.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you got him and his brother who dress up as like hotel security to go try to evict the actual guy who works for the 5 Diamond Award guy.
Yeah.
So that's 9. Oh, and then you got Don Cheadle who dresses up as that
was the other one I was thinking of. Yeah, as a like
as
a
the
fake,
bike,
as a fake Evel Knievel guy, like
and he's got the over the top Southern drawl in that one.
Yeah, which I like that he goes from the Cockney to the Southern drawl.
Yeah,
no in between. But
yeah, you know what Sinatra used to say every night? Pay me my money in cash. In cash, you're getting wired the money.
Yeah, we've already wired it to you, and I like that he's just trying like spinning his wheels, trying to distract him from looking at a computer screen. It's just like,
he's just pulling shit out of his ass.
Yeah, but I felt like this third one they went heavy on like, everyone's getting a disguise at one point in this movie because in the first one
you get a disguise and you get a disguise.
Everybody gets a disguise. That was my best Oprah.
Yep, everybody gets humpback whales.
You get a humpbacked whale. And
you get a humpback whale. Everybody gets humpback whales at a school district with a full faculty
staff. Yep.
Finally got something for Craig to come back in for.
There we go. And then Bernie Mac goes undercover as well.
Yes, as he always usually does.
As always.
Yeah.
I don't think Yen does anything.
Oh, he's pretending to be the millionaire in the last one. He owns all the sky
He
over
is.
Beijing or the Xuzhou province or something like that. Yeah.
That's his.
So I don't know if that's
what it
really a
is.
costume or a disguise because he just put on clothes from his
Yeah.
native country. So I don't know.
I like that.
I like I classify it as a disguise because he's pretending to be somebody else. But
I like that he's kind of like the Chewbacca in this series. He always speaks, either Cantonese or Mandarin, whichever one it is. They know what he's saying, and yet they answer back in English. And there's perfect translation back and forth, but they don't even bother to speak one language.
That's a very good point, actually, too. And he does a lot of the kind of grunty kind of work sometimes, except for the third one. The third one's the only one he gets to just chill back and pretend to be a billionaire, right? But the first one, they stick him in a cart. They break his hand.
Yeah, that's true. And he almost dies.
Yeah.
In the second one, they stick him in a bag.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what happened in the second one. It's like
I think doesn't he end up on a train that goes?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it goes the wrong way, and they're like,
Uh-oh.
Shit.
Yeah, but I didn't actually have any more notes for any of these movies. But yeah, I love these movies. They're great. Do you have anything else to say about the movies before we move on to what did we watch this week so Craig can say some stuff again?
I want to say I have not a theory, but Oceans 11, 12, and 13, the titles are all spelt out, like the word 11, 12, 13. But the original Oceans 11 was just the numbers. And now Oceans 8 is just a number.
Yeah.
I know that it's part of the Oceans 11, 12, 13 universe, but I feel like just using the number 8 is like a callback to the original.
I slightly agree. I was also, because I noticed that too, and I think they mainly did the written one for the for the 2001 one. So this one, what we watched, they wrote it out just because the other one was already the number, so that it's slightly different. So it had two different so you could literally just see the difference on the the box cover. It's that one says 11, this one has an 11, but the fact that the 8 doesn't follow suit is why yours has a little more credence to it. Because I'm just they should have gone. They should have wrote it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have written it out. And there's no connection. I don't think there's any connection to the first one, but we don't know yet. We'll have to wait.
I highly doubt it because Danny Ocean is the name of Frank Sinatra.
Is that
as well?
Okay.
And
I wasn't sure. Yeah, I've never seen that original one.
It's the Rat Pack. It's got him, Sammy Davis Jr.
No, I just meant I didn't know if it was the same characters or not.
Well, no, it's Danny Ocean, and then everyone else is different.
Oh, okay.
There's no Rusty. There's no.
Gotcha.
No, none of that. What they are is, they're all former military. They were all in the Army or the Air Force and stuff together.
Okay.
So they all know each other. So they all have special skills for that.
That's a little more practical for the time, when that movie was made.
Being a Rat Pack movie, they force random songs in it. There's a bit where they
sounds
just
show
show
I
Dean.
Love this movie.
There's a bit where they show Dean Martin just sitting in a hotel room at the hotel they're staying at, playing the piano, singing "Ain't Love a Kick in the Head" to some maids and stuff, trying to talk to Danny's ex-wife, and then they leave and they don't even really talk much about the song other than that he sang it. And then when they go to get Sammy Davis Jr., who I believe is a garbage man in a unionized job, good for him. He's singing and dancing on top of a picnic table for all of the other garbage men. And then he's like, "See you later, fellas. Got to go talk to these guys." And goes and talks to Danny and Dean.
These guys.
These guys.
These guys.
That sounds kind of awesome.
It's not bad. I'll lend it to you if you want.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. It's not as good as Robin and the Seven Hoods, but it's pretty good. That's another Rat Pack one. That's the movie where Mr. Booze. Oh, I thought Craig was going to sing with me.
Yes, I wasn't going to sing it with you.
Damn it. Mr. B-double-O-Z-E.
I thought that was for me, like a cue for me, and I'm like, man, I don't know what that cue's for.
They do it in Family Guy.
That makes a lot more sense why that'd be a Craig cue.
Yep.
I already did all my Family Guy singing before we started recording. It's your fault for timing.
That's true. Because we met her on my CB.
Said her name was Mimi.
Sounded like an angel come to earth.
Come to Earth.
When I went to meet her, man, you should have seen her. Twice as tall as me, 3 times the girth.
Girth.
Oh, my fat baby loves to eat.
Loves to eat.
Big old Buddha belly and a breast swing past her feet.
Feet.
My fat baby loves to eat. My big old fat ass baby loves to eat. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do. I've got blisters on these fingers. There we go.
Yep.
All
We did it
Family
again.
Guide out.
There you go.
We did it again.
So I feel like that's a good segue into Craig. What did you watch this week?
Well, believe it or not, I watched some Family Guy. Most
Oh,
specifically,
shit.
the episodes where Brian is dead.
Ooh.
Those are
Because
sad
who doesn't
episodes
like
to me.
Vinny talking
Vinny
about
is
Johnny Chick
amazing.
stuff?
You know, Johnny Chick Stuff. You know why they called him that? Because he liked to do chick stuff? Liked to do chick stuff.
Yeah. So I watched.
Ev wants to get you a necklace, let him get you a necklace.
Hey kid, you look like spaghetti that's on the road. So good. So I watched that.
Yep.
I watched. Let's see. Well, I talked about it last week, so I'll briefly go on to it. Arrested Development season 5. Netflix only released the first half of the season,
Oh, man, they ticked you.
so I watched it all,
Nice.
and then I was like, "Really? Is that the end of it? Were they planning on making a season 6?" And then I looked it up, and no, that was only the first half of season 5. That it seemed like it was short. I watched Ocean's 11. We talked about that.
Yep.
Yes, we know your stance on that. You don't hate it.
Try.
You don't hate it.
Nope. I don't hate it.
That's where we're going to
But-
leave it at. You don't hate it.
Yeah. I started this documentary series, Evil Genius. Have either of you guys seen the trailer for
I
this
almost
thing?
started that yesterday myself.
It's in my queue. I haven't
here.
started it, but it's in my
It
queue.
looks so good.
Looks really
and then
interesting.
I was so yeah. Well, I saw the description for it. I was like, okay, and then I started to watch it, and the trailer was really good. And then it's in Erie, which is where I've been there a few times. So
That's
that's
Like
kind of
Pennsylvania.
yeah, Erie, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Right on.
Which
So
isn't-
yeah, it's
which isn't
just
too
across
far away.
a
So-
lake from our hometowns.
Exactly. So it's not that far away. So it was kind of like oh really? Because you don't think about stuff happening close by.
Yeah, no, especially not around Niagara. Niagara just feels like a
Exactly.
retirement community.
Yeah, don't tell that to the 80s in Niagara, because Paul Bernardo has things to say to you. Or not say to you.
I always forget that you're back in Niagara again now too. You're not in Toronto anymore.
No, that's where they have other serial killers that they need to worry about.
That's true. Far more.
So I started that.
Nice.
It's crazy. Within the first few minutes of the first episode, you watch a guy die.
Damn.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, they don't even dance around it. They just
Yo, this is death. Deal with
Here's
it.
the footage of a guy with a collar bomb and
Oh,
having it go off.
Shit. That's
So he turned his
Yeah.
head into a pink mist.
It was
don't-
kind of like that. It
Oh.
looks worse initially than
I
it
don't know if I
actually
can
ended up
watch
being,
that.
apparently. It's not
Yeah.
as it's like archival police footage, so it's not like it's like
Okay.
super intense.
Yeah.
It's not a reenactment either.
Okay.
It was the footage.
Yeah, so it's a little grainy. It's not like super
Yeah,
great
well,
quality.
it's early 2000s, right?
Yeah,
or late
fair
90s,
enough,
early
yeah.
2000s. So it's what you get from the times.
60 megapixels.
Exactly. The yeah, so it's pretty like it sets the tone, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a crazy story.
Sounds
And,
intense.
Doesn't really let on to what's actually happening, so there's kind of like a mystery to it, which is nice.
I think that's kind of what
Um,
intrigued me about like checking out when I was reading the description on it. I was like, this sounds like I'm
Yeah.
curious what's happening. Like I'm
They
curious.
don't like it's not a story that got a ton of like coverage where you're like, oh yeah, I remember what happened at the PNC Bank in Erie. No,
Yeah, no,
no
definitely
one
not.
knows what
Nope.
happened at the bank. It's crazy.
Not even the people who were there.
Apparently. almost finished Bobby Kennedy for President. I think what has stopped me from finishing it's a 4-episode series.
Is it because you know how it ends?
No, he's already dead. The last episode, so I've watched 3 episodes, right?
Yeah.
In the first episode, JFK dies, obviously.
Obviously.
In the
Spoilers.
second episode, it's the ramp up to like the heyday of Bobby Kennedy. Then the third episode is all Bobby Kennedy heyday, and then he gets shot. Obviously. And then
at least he hooked up with Marilyn Monroe, right?
No, that was JFK.
I'm pretty
Bobby
sure she
Kennedy
did both of them.
I don't know, but Bobby Kennedy was definitely a lot more of a wholesome seeming individual.
Well, he goes by the name Bobby. He almost has to, right?
Yeah. They either that or they definitely I'm sure they gloss over a lot of stuff that happened, but
as Dave Chappelle says, those 2 pages in the history books are stuck together. Which is disgusting.
It's just disgusting.
Yeah. The 4th episode is supposed to be like the aftermath after he's killed, and I think what stopped me from watching it is the fact that I already he's dead. So I mean, I already know what happened to the U.S. in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s.
Especially the 2000s.
Well, because I'm pretty sure that's when, I guess I'll have to watch it, but he was up against Nixon for the presidency.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's when Nixon gets elected, and then Watergate happens and all kinds of privacy and wiretapping and just crazy stuff happens in the U.S.
From there,
They take steps backwards and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So we'll see. I'll probably finish it. The only other thing I watched this week, I was actually one I found yesterday. I was very excited about it, and I wish they had more episodes, but they don't. At least not until tomorrow. It's a documentary series called Explained.
Oh,
which
yes.
is
That's a new one.
It's a partnership between Netflix and Vox. And I like Vox. Vox does stuff with with one of my favorite podcasts, 99% Invisible.
Yeah, I listen to a couple of their podcasts as well.
Yeah, I never miss an episode. So I figured, what could possibly go wrong with something that has Vox attached to it? And they've only got 4 episodes so far, but they were all really interesting.
Yeah, it's a new weekly one, right?
Yeah, it's every Wednesday. So the first episode was the racial wealth gap, which really sucked me in because that was interesting. Mm-hmm. Designer DNA, which was a thing I never even
that's one that caught my eye.
Want to know about. Monogamy, which again isn't a subject that I would ever think I'd sit and watch 18 minutes about, but I did.
Oh, it's only 18 minutes too, eh?
18. They're less than 20 minutes.
Cool.
The episodes are 16, 18, 18, and 20. So it's not even like you're sitting down there for 45 minutes.
See, that's why I didn't start it, because I thought it was like 45, to be honest.
They're super short. 20
I like
minutes.
that.
The 4th one's about K-pop, which, again,
I'm
not a subject I ever thought I would
fascinated
sat
as to
down for.
why
You watched
people
a
are
documentary?
fascinated by it.
It's well worth watching. 20 minutes on K-pop gives you a real insight right from the beginning to
about Candy Cohog Quagmire.
About Candy Cohog Quagmire. It's a really good series, and I'm looking forward to the next episode that's coming out. That should be coming out on Wednesday.
Right on. I'll definitely have to check that out because, like I said, I had added it to my list and just hadn't started it yet because I was like, I wasn't ready to dedicate 45 minutes to it yet, but
nope.
20 is a lot more.
I watched all of them one on top of the other, but it's 20 minutes an episode, so it's digestible. Cool. It's not overwhelming.
See, I like that. That sounds good.
And that is all I watched this week that I can think of. I'm sure I'll be besides watching Theo Von again, but I don't think we need to go into that.
Are you sure?
We've discussed it before. People are renting 97 Civics or Corollas or whatever car it was. It doesn't matter. They're all the same.
This family got haters in the branches.
That's what I was waiting for. So, Andrew, what did you watch this week?
Okay, so I went and watched Oceans 11, 12, and 13.
Yep.
As we discussed. I went to the drive-in on Saturday.
What'd you see?
And I saw one great movie, one shit movie.
Oh, yes, I remember now. Okay.
I saw Show Dogs.
Which is funny because that actually movie was supposed to be taken out of theaters to be like re-edited.
It was
Unless this is the re-edited.
ridiculous. Okay,
That's what I've heard.
We got ludicrous, and that's what the movie was. It was ludicrous
As the
okay?
voice of a dog, right?
Yes.
Yep.
He plays Max, who is a Rottweiler, who is on the New York police force, who's
That
partnered
looks
with
terrible.
Oh, it
who's
gets
partnered
worse.
with an FBI agent who is Will Arnett
Yep.
to infiltrate some dog show
a
in
dog
Las Vegas
competition.
to save a panda, a stolen panda. Okay?
Yep.
I'm going to tell you the 2 best parts of this movie. 3. Okay, 3 best parts. 4 best parts. Okay, 4 best parts.
Will Arnett.
One of them,
Will Arnett better be on that list.
5 best parts, okay?
Of the worst
Okay,
movie ever.
So, Will Arnett is in it, and he is badass. He's Batman, okay?
I love everything he's
Okay.
in, except
2.
apparently this.
The amount of ridiculous jokes they make in, like, poking fun at the movie. Like, there's a point where you have 2, like, chihuahuas or something sitting around talking about, like, what they were famous for. And one's like, yeah, I used to be in a lot more stuff back when they used to do a lot of CGI with dogs. And they're sitting there doing a CGI dog conversation. I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
come on.
gosh.
And then, like, they've got other jokes where there's, you know, the pigeons flying, and I forget what they say, but they're like, oh, fuck, what is it? I can't remember what
Something
it is,
not
but it was
memorable.
it was a terrible joke. Then you get to Shaq. Okay, Shaq plays this super hippie dog named Karma.
Okay.
Okay, and there's a point in the movie where they're talking about how I think he loses out to Max in that part of the competition. He's like, it's okay, you know, I've already got, and he starts listing all like Shaq's career statistics. He's like, got this many free throws, this many championship, and he lists his actual statistics.
like
and I'm
that.
sitting
That's
there on
kinda
my,
funny.
and I was like, wow, here's the lantern. Let me just leave that there.
Yeah.
So, did you know that the director did Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Ruh-oh.
Now that I know that, I can see the entire movie in my head, and I will not be seeing it.
Yeah, no,
Fucking
I will be
Stanley
watching it too.
Tucci is in it, guys. Stanley Tucci. Okay, this guy, he's got my stamp of approval. Okay, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's
I agree.
fucking in this
I
movie.
know.
He plays a stuck-up French dog.
Yeah. Well, in his defense, I will never hate on any celebrity doing a voice role because they can call them in nowadays. Like, some of them could do them in the basement.
true.
Like, you could do it on an iPhone. So, like,
true.
getting paid $1 million
Listen to
to
the
call in
sound
for
quality
2.
we get from our podcasts. Just
That's true.
in
That's
our
what I'm
living
saying.
rooms.
Yeah, like, celebrities easily can do that, no problem. I'm 100% sure that's why Patrick Stewart did the Emoji Movie, because he's like, yeah, I can do this in my basement where I record every Family Guy, American
American
Dad,
Dad.
yeah, and like because he does a few different like animated stuff. Like, you'll see him pop up a bunch of stuff. I swear he must have like a basement studio, and he just goes hangs out there, gets $10,000 an hour, maybe 100.
Bangs like every woman ever.
I think he's
Because
maybe
he's
married?
Sir Pat. Dude,
Is he?
he's a celebrity.
I was saying he was.
When you're a celebrity-
I was saying he was more of a gentleman than that. Is what I was trying to imply.
When you're a celebrity, it's adios reality. Okay.
Okay, that's fair. That's
That was
very true.
That was a Brad Paisley reference.
Can you
on.
throw a major fit if your latte isn't just the way you like it? People think you're cool just because you're on TV.
Yeah. When life goes down the drain and then you go insane.
Yep. Because the pressure's just too tough being a celebrity.
There we go. So anyway, so Shaq's in it. RuPaul is in it. But apparently RuPaul's character is also an undercover dog that you don't find out until the end, who's working for like Homeland Security.
Okay.
So now Max has to go undercover as some dog to figure something else out, and he's got to bring Will Arnett with him somehow, even though he can't speak dog.
Yeah.
This movie was so bad. I don't even know how it came to be. Like,
There are talking dogs in it, which is enough for me to be like, no.
yeah, like I feel like kids.
I've
were
never
like,
seen
no.
a single Air Bud film for that very reason.
Okay, so
And
I don't think
Homeward
they talk
Bound's
in any of
only
the Airbuds.
No,
not till
no.
that's the new ones. The original Airbuds did have no talking.
no, it was just a dog
It's
that
a
could
dog
do
that
shit.
could play football and baseball and other stuff like that.
And volleyball,
Volleyball,
probably basketball. Because
soccer
he's
for
Airbud, he does
sure.
what he wants.
Soccer seems like the easiest one for a dog to actually play.
Air buddies.
That's where I was off. That was after my time. It was after my childhood, so I was like, yeah, no more Airbuds.
Yeah. So
Buddies.
this movie, they paired with Solo, which is what I saw again.
Yeah, that's a weird comment.
Family
Callback,
friendly.
callback
Okay.
to last week's. But everyone left before Solo.
Because all the families were showing up.
Oh,
yeah. People sat there and they're like, "Oh, we saw the good movie. Let's leave."
No, I don't think it's because they said they saw the good movie. They were like, it's 11 o'clock.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like my parents
Yeah.
used to like go when we went to the drive-in. We'd always leave after the first movie, but we would only be going
Oh,
to
man.
see the first movie. But
You let the kids sleep in the back seat. Okay?
yeah, well, see, I was gonna say that was the next thing though. I was like, well, there was definitely a couple times that we were sleeping in the back seat because it was a movie A we weren't allowed to watch. B we were tired because we were children.
I went to the porta potty, and when I was coming back, I walked by a van that had a kid sitting in the back seat watching Rugrats
Oh my God.
on a portable DVD player, and I was like, you know what?
That
fine
Rugrats
with
is so
this.
much better.
No, this is for Solo. This was
Oh,
Solo that
during
was on.
Solo. Okay, yeah.
During Solo. But I was blown away. We pulled in,
Yeah.
and then a truck pulled up beside us, and the guy gets out, and he immediately starts spraying down his headlights and his windshield with Windex, and I kind of chuckled to myself. And then he pulled out bug screens for his windows, and I was like, damn, this guy's prepared.
Yeah.
And then another truck pulled in on my other side, and I looked at the person I was with, and I was like, do you think this person has Windex and bug screens? And they did.
Oh gosh.
You missed
are, like,
the memo.
Super prepared for this kind of
And then
thing.
I look over to the left like 5 minutes later, and here's a Jeep 12 cars over doing the same damn thing. These guys are pros.
They're like
missed the
connoisseurs
memo.
of the drive-in experience.
Yeah.
Like, God.
They
They
know what's
obviously
up.
know something about going to a drive-in movie in the middle of nowhere that you don't.
Clearly.
It's not the
Clearly.
same in Welland as it is in the middle of
Nope.
nowhere.
Nope.
There are bugs.
In the middle of Lindsay.
Oh, Lindsay, even worse.
Lindsay.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
to none of the listeners in Lindsay, because they're definitely not
I
listening.
don't think we have any.
That's why I said there's definitely
They're not
There.
Lindsay. They're not Lindsay.
And if you do, I apologize. Your town is lovely. I'm sure.
We've never been
sure.
there, but we've heard terrible things.
Okay, yeah, so I watched Oceans 11, 12, 13, Show Dogs. I watched Solo. I watched Theo Vaughn as well, Craig. I watched
course you did.
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable, nice.
Yes, for the first time in years.
Yeah, it's been a while since I
And
watched that.
It's good, but terrible at the same time.
That's why I haven't revisited
The
it.
acting prowess in it is awful. It is not what I hold Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson up to.
Yeah, it's a little. I feel like they both took on the fact that it was kind of a comic book. Like, I feel like they both knew it was a comic book movie before everybody else did, and they kind
Yeah.
of played it a little bit that way. Like, they were playing like super, like, oh, we are actual, like, living in this comic book that this is kind of based off of, even though it's not really a comic book. It's just a superhero in a sense.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Yeah, it's a twist.
It's
I
Shyamalan.
hate the ending though. Yeah. The ending is garbage.
The-
Garbage.
The ending doesn't like feels like such a not ending to me. Like at the end.
Yeah, it feels like a documentary.
It really-
or
that's
at
a
the,
good point,
or
yeah.
at the end of an episode of like Biggest Loser, where they're like, "Oh yeah, Jackson lost 900 pounds and continues to go to the gym every day and bangs his wife." That's pretty much how it ended.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Bruce Willis went to the police and turned him in, and then they went and found evidence of 3 mass homicides. That was enough to put him away for life. Oh yeah, and by the way, Samuel L. Jackson's now locked up for life in an insane asylum for the criminally insane. Like, terrible ending. Like, it's such a bullshit way to do it.
Yeah.
Have him announce that, his whole purpose was to be the major villain, be Mr. Glass to Bruce Willis's Unbreakable.
Yeah,
Like, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb.
But
give me something else.
I'm very curious where they take this sequel to it, and that's coming out.
Mr. Glass.
That's just Glass.
Yeah. Just Glass.
Yep. Yeah, I know. Have you seen Split?
Yeah, where it like at the
how
at
it
the
ties
end
in,
where
because
they
it's going into there. Yeah, Split's ending I thought was a little better.
Which even then I didn't like the end where they're like, oh yeah, they're calling them the Horde. Oh man, that reminds me of that guy who killed all the people years ago, Mr. Something. Like they called him Mr. Glass, and then the bitch just gets up and leaves.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, this guy's creepy.
It would make more sense if he got up and left after that. You know, like Mr. Glass, like I better go see you. You know, that'd make more sense as opposed to her.
Not just like him sitting beside her at a diner, and she's like,
she walked up just to get this random question answered by somebody.
By some bald guy, and then leaves. Like, come on. So the last thing I watched this week was Game Night.
Oh, is that on DVD now?
Which, yeah.
Oh shit, it's quick.
So, which I've seen before and I've mentioned on the show, which is a surprisingly good movie, hilarious. It's got Sharon Horgan in it. She's Irish. I like that shit.
I think you mentioned that last time too.
Oh yeah, top of the morning to you.
I think you made that same joke last time too.
Probably, because that's
what you always go to.
Well,
that's always your Irish thing. Top of the morning to you.
Okay, for every accent, there's got to be a saying that kind of like
that's true.
Like for us to do an Australian accent, wallaby. That's not a knife.
I was thinking shrimp on the barbie.
That's where I was going to.
The dingo ate my baby.
Or dingo ate my baby. Yeah.
Like there's a saying that jumpstarts you into it.
That's very true.
For the Irish accent, for me, it's top of the morning to you.
That's a fair point. For me,
oh fuck.
For me to get like super Canadian, I gotta start with the boot.
Oh fuck.
That helps lead into my Minnesota.
I find that if I lean into
Minnesota,
that can get me into Canada.
What'd you say, Craig?
I said I find that if I lean really hard into Bud, that can get me into the Canadian accent.
That's fair.
That is
fair. But I'm talking Sharon Horgan, who is Irish. Oh fuck! Oh fuck! What are we doing? But yeah, she's in it, which is very awesome, and the whole movie itself is great. Go see it for sure. Scott, what did you watch?
So I didn't watch as much this week. Just didn't get to that much, but I checked out Legion again. The second season's about to wrap up this week, which I'm saddened about because I like this show. It's one of those shows I wish was longer, but I feel like it also is better because it's shorter. Does that make sense? Like, it's only a 10-episode season.
I'm going to make it make sense.
Yeah. And so, like...
Bet your ass sense.
Yeah, so I'm a little sad that it's going to be gone, but it's also good that it's such a quality show, so I'm almost done that. I checked out the Steve Martin short special on Netflix.
How is that? It's in my queue.
I can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, I don't think Craig
would
like them
both.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
I like them both a lot.
Well, no, I'm saying like as a stand-up special, it wasn't super funny. It did feel very like it's supposed to, like, I know it is kind of an act, but it felt way too like rehearsed in a sense. Does that make sense?
It looked like it was trying to be Oh Hello.
A little bit.
And John
hello.
Mulaney, without pulling the whole character thing.
I feel like that's a pretty good way to like look at it. But they did it's okay. Like it was enjoyable enough, but it wasn't as funny as I thought it'd be, because I like both of those two as well, and I thought it'd be a little funnier, but it was a little, like I said, it felt way too much like an act. Like, and I know it's an act, but I don't know, it's just like the two of them are friends, and so like you get that in some of the jokes and the way they're playing off each other, but some of it again, it felt like so rehearsed and so like, oh, they had this whole thing line for line written out what they were going to say back and forth, and a couple times you can see they like, you know, change it up a little bit, and that throws the other one off a little bit. He's like, oh, you decided to throw that line in tonight, haha. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that takes away from it for me a little bit. Like, it took away from it for me a little bit that it felt so routine, you know? Like, it felt like I was watching, like, their fifth show of the night kind of deal, and it just, I don't know, it took a little away from it for me. But that's my only kind of complaint about it, really, is that, and that it didn't pop out at me. I'm just like, I'm not like, oh, yeah, you guys both have to watch it. I'm just like, if you get to it, you get to it. If not, I kind of get it. You know what I mean? But, yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah. So then I also checked out Doom, but I didn't watch a whole lot of it because I was cooking and stuff while watching it.
Are we talking the Rock Doom?
Yes, because I really wanted to
Fuck
watch
yeah.
that, and
Semper Fi, motherfucker.
I was planning to originally do it for my rewatch revisit, but then I didn't focus on it enough. But one scene that I always love from that is that like the final scene where you get the Rock versus I always forget his name. Always say it wrong. The guy that's in Star Trek and
Yep.
Judge Dredd and
Yep.
anyways, that guy.
Try and say it.
I literally like blanked on his name. Like I blanked on his name, and I cannot for the life of me remember it. It's driving me insane because
You got this, man.
Nope, it's not
You
there.
got
It's
this.
literally not in my memory right now.
I believe in you.
Can't do
I
it.
believe in
I'm
you.
moving on.
Carl.
It's not Urban, is it? No.
Yes.
Is
yes.
it? Okay,
You got
see?
it.
Yep.
That's why I always like second guess myself about his name. I'm just like, you sound like.
Because whose last name is Urban?
Well, that's
Keith.
Well, that's what I was thinking of. I'm like,
know,
did
that
I
was-
get this guy mixed up with a freaking country guy again?
An Australian country guy, which would
Yeah.
hurt even more.
Australian.
Yeah.
Australian with an Irish accent.
So
Oh fuck, Australian.
That's getting really close to some northern Ontario right there.
That's true. That's very unfortunate.
that's where we live, though.
You guys are in eastern
We're
Ontario.
we're northern
Don't
east.
start
It's-
this
yeah,
again.
no, never mind. Anyways, so yeah, I watched Doom, and I'm probably gonna rewatch that even again because I didn't watch enough of it. I rewatched The Truman Show. Started rewatching The Good Place, the first few episodes.
Oh hell yeah.
Just because, gotta love those guys. I watched The 5-Year Engagement.
That's a long movie, but it's good.
Yeah, it's not
It's a
bad.
long engagement. What do you want?
It's true.
Especially
They
considering
want
there
to
was like
cover-
there's a 2-minute scene where they're trying to say the dog's name. There's what is it, like Greerth?
Yeah.
Griff.
Gwen.
Griff.
Gwyneth.
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 Girth.
Gwyneth.
Girth.
Clithby.
Oh, you mean like Gwyneth Paltrow? And he's like, no.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, what?
It Clithby.
So yeah, I watched that, and then I also checked out Gods of Egypt finally, which I fucking loved. I don't
Fucking Egyptian Power Rangers, right?
exactly. I don't know how this movie wasn't like the biggest movie
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
blow up ever. Maybe I'm just
It
too much
should
of a
have been.
child inside. Maybe it's because it was a little Stargate-esque, because ancient, like because they were kind of
A little bit.
alien-esque gods. You know what I mean? Like it had a little bit
Kind
of like
of.
a feel to it, like the
It wasn't legit gods.
Yeah.
It was like a totally different
they were like
take on it.
exactly like they were kind of like a species that was just called gods, and I'm like I kind of like
That were
that.
just better.
Yeah,
But they could fucking morph.
they morphed. They fucking kicked ass. It was. I liked how they had them just being
Set was a
giants
punk
compared
bitch.
to the normal people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was just enjoyable, and I kind of wish that there had been a sequel or something. But at the same time, once I finished it, I'm like, oh, this is why it can't be a sequel. It kind of ends there, right? Like the movie's kind of done.
Yeah.
It's not really much more to go with it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it would have been better maybe as a TV show even too. Like it would have been interesting if there was like a whole couple seasons.
I feel like that movie was just like someone watched Mummies Alive and was like, "Hey, you know what? What if people who were big could have the strength of Raw?" And then it just became that because
it's
friggin' what's his name? The main guy in Mummies Alive.
oh, okay.
The flying guy who like has the eagle wings.
Oh,
You can picture him. You
I
can
know what he
picture
looks
him.
like. Names are
Yeah.
just not happening.
Yeah, I
tonight.
can't remember his
It's too
name.
late.
That armor he has
Yeah.
is like the exact same thing that what's his face has in Gods of Egypt.
Well, he was Horus, right? Yeah, so he's
Horus, yeah. He's got the friggin' like eagle face with the wings that sprout out of nowhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's pretty much the same as what's his face. So
Yeah, no, it's. I really enjoyed it. I thought the aesthetic of that transformation was really cool. I like
Yeah.
the idea of it being like you said, a morphing suit as opposed to
yeah,
other interpretations we've seen of it. Is like it wasn't armor, but like one thing I didn't like about Stargate
he had
was
the
they
ability
a
to morph.
stupid armor. Like
Yeah.
in Stargate, it was really
Yeah.
dumb giant helmet. Like
Yeah.
this is how big the snake helmets were, and it's like no guys. So like I like that this was a little bit more like cool, a little more practical. To
it was more changing their physical appearance than anything,
Yeah.
but it was also like Power Rangers.
It was really strange too because like you see them like in like they're like the one guy gets his, like the one chick gets her heart ripped out, he gets his eyes ripped out, but he's still like alive, and it's like, are they like robots who are like? It was confusing.
Well, they're gods, right? So like they don't die from the same things that you or I would. But like I think it was just he had to take like specific parts.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Those
that
parts
was a trip.
Are
like his eyes were like what made him such a ferocious hunter, right?
Yeah.
Like he could see everything, so he had to take those.
But then they come out as like, jewels, right? Like they come out as like little like.
Well, they're gods, man. We don't know.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like because I like the idea that they were like. I like the idea of them being like their race is God, like that they're more like that's their race, and it's like they're literally just like if humans evolved to another level, that's what they would be in a sense. But or like they're
when humans did evolve, they become gods.
Exactly, right? So that's the way I kind of like saw them as, and so like they kind of like those things like they're kind of maybe like a hybrid.
And then when they mega evolve, with mega stones, a la Pokemon X and Y or whatever the hell it was.
They become that big worm thing that was trying to eat the world.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then you end up with friggin' the Captain what's his face
Barbossa.
Barbossa trying
that
to
was like
save
the best little like raw appearance ever. Yeah, I didn't know he was in it. I didn't know anything.
Well, he was such an asshole too.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Which is great. He's just his classic charming self. But yeah, I feel like this movie definitely is. Like Power Rangers was just completely like missed its target audience.
Before its time.
Yeah, well, before its time or slash just wasn't shown to the right people. Wasn't advertised for what like the parts that we enjoyed about it weren't the things they showed off enough when they were marketing this. I think, and that's kind of
I see a lot of movies where I look at it and I think why, how, when.
Yeah.
Why is Gamora? Why did these movies go to theaters?
Yeah.
Nowadays, some movies are hilarious and they need to be seen, but they don't need to go to theaters. They're not going to make money in theaters. Your best bet is to just be a straight to Netflix movie.
Yep. Maybe put it on iTunes for like a month first and then go to Netflix. Yeah. Like that's a perfectly reasonable deal.
Because like there's so many movies out there that are good enough to watch.
Oh yeah.
But they're not worth sticking in theaters. And then straight to DVD, you're losing out on tons of money. You know, people aren't going to see it.
It's true, yeah. You miss out so much on those kind of things, the straight to DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this movie would have benefited from maybe been turned into like a TV series instead.
Yeah.
And been like a 2-season, 10 episodes.
Like just go through the like his struggle and his fight.
Yeah, and then give him a few more journeys to go on, because that was one thing.
HBO, this would have made a really good HBO series.
This would have been a great replacement for Game of Thrones, as opposed
to
him
exactly
trying to
what
go.
I was thinking.
Yeah, but
well, he's what's his face who plays Horus is in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know that's why that's the connection I like to make too. Because like when I was watching it, I'm like, you're better. Like, you're a good actor. I like you in smaller bits, though, if that makes sense, right? Like, I like...
kind of a background character, like someone who exists, but it doesn't have to be, like, front and center.
Yeah, so, like, I think, like, a TV show would have been interesting if it was, like... Even if it was, like, didn't focus on the gods and maybe followed the kid guy and him having to do a lot more, like side missions to help the god guy do his actual mission, and that's how you'd, like, end every couple, like, episodes. It'd be, like, 2 episodes of the freaking assistant kid, trying to do something to find some like lost scroll that has the directions to whatever, right? And then and then you see Horus kick some ass as like in Megazord mode. That'd be awesome. That's why I think the show could have been I think it would have been more successful if it did that instead. It was go TV route, which is still possible. Maybe 5 years from now they'll decide, oh, Scott had a great idea on the podcast that one time. We're going to steal that.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You're welcome to it, Hollywood. I just want 5% royalties. Only 5. I'm cheap.
Only 5.
I think standard's 7.
So you'll get like $400. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
If that.
But yeah, so that was pretty much all I watched this week. Yeah, that's all I watched this week. Not too much. I'm running out of superhero shows.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I'll be going to see Ocean's 8, even though it's already out before this one's coming. By the time this episode drops, it's already in theaters, so probably have seen it by time then, which we'll be talking about next week, correct?
Next week.
Yeah, so for our listeners...
If I make it that far, because the friggin' Cubs are losing 5-0 right now.
Man.
Son of a bitch!
Well, real life for you guys there.
The Jays are just... No.
We're not a sports podcast, guys.
I'm not going to listen to you complain about the Cubs losing a game. The Jays have lost a season. It's June.
And the Jays lost 7-2 today. So
I'm switching allegiance to the Argos because it seems safer.
There we go. Let's go Argos. Argos. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening this week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.